How I love to vibe when I'm vibing with you. How I love to vibe when the vibing is true. How I love to vibe when I'm vibing with you. We're vibing, we're vibing, we're vibing, we're vibing. It's Mike Kass Vibin Out.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, beautiful spirit.
Hello, beautiful spirit. How are you today?
I'm good.
Amazing.
This is Cass.
This is Mike, and this is Mike and Cass
Vibin' out, baby.
Yes.
Vibin' out. So we came together, different cultures, but kindred spirits. Different sexes, but kindred spirits. Different races, but kindred spirits. And I just love the idea of us just vibing out together. Mm-hmm. And if there happen to be anything that we might say that'll be a blessing in your life, who are we not to show up to share that with you? So we go off the top of our head, and we decided to talk about love and relationships today. That's a good one. Something everybody cares about, love.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and in relationships. And Cass brought up not just intimate relationships, but friendships, family relationships. And where we want to start, when it comes to love and relationships, I think a good place to ask is what kind of relationships have you had in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and how have they shaped you?
I think that definitely the more unhealthy relationships I've had, that now looking back in hindsight, they weren't super good. It was our egos were kind of feeding off each other, me and that person, or our immaturity or something like that. Those have been some of the worst experiences, but also have made me grown the most as a person. I definitely would not be where I am without those exes or ex-friends or whatever that were not maybe treating me the best, or I wasn't treating them the best. And so I think that's an interesting point, that some of the worst things can kind of bring about the biggest growth and evolution. And I think relationships are an amazing kind of way to do that, because people are sort of reflections of you in some way, and I feel like we sometimes attract the people into our life based on how we feel about ourselves. And so you were bringing up earlier how your relationship with yourself is super, super important, and I think that's key, because that determines relationships with other people and who you attract into your life and stuff. So
absolutely.
Yeah. What about you?
It's interesting. I got full disclosure. We're both very strong-willed people, for better or for worse. This one's a very strong, determined.
Yeah, you too.
Probably situationally, stubborn. I've been stubborn in my life for sure. When it comes to relationships, until it got to the point where you really care, and where being right is no longer more important than coming back together. And for me, throughout my life, my first relationships, maybe I didn't care as much as I should, and me being right, being logical, because I just knew I was right, was more important than that person at the time.
Yeah.
Until it got to the point where I actually was in my feelings and really cared about the person.
Mm-hmm.
And it was damn, yeah, I may be right, but this person's not there anymore. What's really important.
Yeah.
So I think as we kind of grow, develop, and evolve, the coming together, becomes more important than being right, if you're with the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to what you said, it really is a mirror and reflection, and knowing your worth, which we talked about a little bit. I want to ask you guys, this is an important question. Do you love yourself?
Be honest. That's a hard question.
Do you love yourself? And I think for a lot of us, it's probably a mixed bag. In some ways we do. And I made the mistake of thinking that because I like myself, that I love myself. Growing up,
yeah.
I was, always pretty confident in who I was. And so I thought because I like myself, I love myself, until I became an adult. And I was like, I'm so hard on myself.
Yeah.
In so many ways. And that's not love. To be so critical of yourself, to be your worst enemy and just call that, trying to be great, but actually just beating yourself up. That's not love. And being a man, I was like, to learn how to start loving myself and being nurturing myself like my mom will love me, you know, and being tender and kind with myself.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's a good way of like asking yourself if you really love yourself is how do you treat yourself, how do you talk to yourself when you've made a mistake or when you've done something maybe you didn't think you would do or said something or whatever. Like how do you call yourself an idiot? Do you say, oh my God, I'm never good enough? Or are you compassionate to yourself and know that, you know, you can just do better and you can learn from your mistakes and not ignore that they've happened, but like treat yourself with respect. Like you said, how your mom would treat you, how a good friend would treat you. If, you know, you went to a friend after making a mistake or doing something embarrassing and they were like, wow, you're such an idiot. Like, damn, you shouldn't do that. Like, would you really be friends with them? Would you like being around them? No. So, you know, why are you doing that to yourself? And I think that comes with like being aware of your own thoughts and feelings, which is a whole other practice, you know, but Absolutely. It starts with just asking yourself questions and seeing, like, where do I give myself the most love? Or in what situations, and then where do I not? So that's kind of a difficult question. I don't even know what I would say for myself about that. Do you know what you would say? Like
at this point, it's ever evolving. You know, I love myself foundationally. You know, is there higher levels to that? Absolutely. And also in learning what love is. You know, love is deep.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like that fairy tale movie crap we see, the surface love or romantic relationships. Love is deep. Love is powerful. Love is setting boundaries. You know, love is raw sometimes, you know, it can seem harsh, you know, but love is the most beautiful, deep thing, and unconditional love being the highest form of love. So getting to the point where I love myself completely unconditionally, I can look at aspects of my life where, you know, through owning a business and having stress, you know, that's not self-love, you know, to not have freedom from that. And or, you know, holding myself, it's good to hold yourself to a high standard, but also being easy on yourself, you know, and I have not, you know, mastered that, frankly, you know. One thing you brought up made me think is that it sounds cliche, but really learning to be your own best friend for real. And not knowing that, like, when you go into a relationship of any kind, nobody's here to complete your ass. That's not what this is, you know? And so you've been sold a bag of goods if you believe somebody else is going to complete you. You know, you got to be whole yourself and actually be a whole person and own fully who you are, the good, bad, the indifferent, before you go into a situation with another person. And also maybe going into a situation where another person's broken, you know? What's going to happen when you bring two broken-ass people together?
And they try to fix each other unconsciously, and then you're just a mess. Yeah, it's, oh my gosh. And that's the thing, too, is to realize we are all whole and complete. Like, yes, we can all grow or whatever, but on a deep, like, soul level, we're all just complete as we are, but we're taught to believe, no, we need this thing, we need to experience this, we need to have this in order to actually be whole. And yeah, when we go into other relationships thinking we're not, and unconsciously or consciously, I guess, being like, oh, this person has what I need, so they're going to give that to me, then you're putting your happiness in the hands of others, and you're depending on them for your completeness, which will never turn out good, because then if they don't give that to you, there's going to be resentment, there's going to be a lot of self-hate, and it's just also not a healthy dynamic. I feel like in relationships, they're there to complement each other. Of course, we're humans, we're all individuals and have really amazing, unique things to bring to the table, and I think that's great, and we can have that without needing that, if that makes sense, to feel complete.
100%. Yes, yes. What popped up in my head is I love love. You know, I love romance. I love all that stuff, you know. But what I've learned for sure is that whether it be a romantic relationship, whether it be a close friendship, the most valuable relationships in your life, these people are supposed to be a catalyst for your growth.
That's a big one.
You know, and that is what it's for. That's what it's for, because when you love each other unconditionally and you know you're on the same team, there's that default of them being able to see those areas of your life and areas of yourself that maybe not be so great, but be able to point them out in a way and you know that person has your back and they only want the best for you, rather than the defense coming up, which is natural. We always want to protect ourselves, you know, compared to knowing like, okay, we're here to grow.
Yeah.
Grow, develop, and evolve. And that may seem like not romantic, but it's so beautiful because the rest of the stuff becomes a bonus.
Yeah.
You know, like the fun, the play, the intimacy, all that stuff becomes on a higher level of beautiful and good when that foundation is there, that you got this rider in your life who wants to see you be great in every aspect.
Yeah. No, I
that's
completely
magical.
agree. Yeah, that's amazing. And I feel like that like has to, I don't know, you both have to be on the same page with that though. Definitely both people. I feel like it takes like openness of your own like heart or your own just mind and stuff to be able to do that, because I feel like I don't see many relationships that actually have that dynamic. Yeah. And so it's kind of sad that we don't really see that in real life, and it is a beautiful thing when you find people like that and have those connections, because it's like,
Well,
you know?
let's just be frank, right? How many of us have ever gone into a situation, a relationship, thinking first and foremost that this person's supposed to be a catalyst for my growth? No. You know, there's a certain level of attraction, certain intangible things that may have brought that person to you. This person's cute, whatever, they make me laugh. But that wasn't a thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, the initial attraction is self-serving. You know, it's not like thinking like, okay, I wonder how I can make this person a more amazing human being. It's like, no, it's something about that person I'm vibing with. You know, but just think if you started doing that. You know, like how would these things look like? And you know what? Let's do this real quick.
Yeah.
Let's go through every aspect, every relationship in your life right now. And like between your best friends, if you have a partner, even your family, what people out there like really love you unconditionally? What of those folks are actually making you a better version of yourself? Life inventory, baby.
Yeah.
It's time for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, who are those people in your life who are those folks that every time you leave their presence, you feel better?
That's a good indicator of, who's actually there for you. Because someone can, on the surface level, love you, as in being there for you when you need somebody, or maybe giving you things or whatever, but it's like on a deep sort of energetic level, like, are they really there and for your evolution and stuff? So that's a good way of knowing that. How do you come out of those situations with that person and stuff? And I feel like that's hard to come by, you know?
Dude, and it's hard to be honest about it, especially like if like people been in your life for a long period of time. And you know, I've got a big family. I'm gonna be frank. Like, I've been blessed with a great immediate family where I truly like and adore them. You know, every family has its dysfunction, but like I truly like those folks.
Yeah.
But I've also come to a point, whether it be blood or not, or friends I've had since I was a little kid, that we all have a choice to grow, develop, and evolve in who we choose to be. And I don't ever want to be a hypocrite. If that person, doesn't matter, even if they're blood, the false sense of obligation, or they've been in your life for 10 years, or whatever it is, if whoever it is not making your life better, then you don't have any obligation to have them in your life.
Yeah.
And understand that, you know, as much as the guilt might pop up and that false sense of obligation, this would be better off, because otherwise you will resent them, as you spoke on, and nobody can give you back a second of your life. Not your mama, not your daddy, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your best friend, your road dog, your homie from 5th grade. No, nobody can give you back a second of your life, you know? So knowing your worth and knowing that your life and your time is uber important, and that you don't owe anybody anything other than being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, that's a huge topic, because I feel like that's something so many people struggle with, is like, oh, well, this person's, been in my life for X amount of years, or their family, like whatever. I have to make things work with them. And I think it's kind of like, I don't know, a hard balance between like having some issues in a relationship and really trying to work on them, and see how it can grow, and then also knowing when that line is crossed and when you're like, nah, I don't need this person in my life, and they're really not doing anything for me. And
that is such a great point.
it's such a hard balance.
So how do you know? So how do you know? And I think, from my experience, it's easier said than done when emotion is involved.
Yeah.
But if you can pull yourself out and just observe the situation for what it is, you know in your gut immediately, like, is this person bringing more good to the table than not?
Yeah.
And just being honest with yourself about what it is. And knowing that you don't have to make any choices, any changes. See, what happens is people don't face the truth when they feel like they gotta change. They're like, damn, if I face the truth, that means I gotta make. So just be like, hey, you can stay in whatever it is, but at least give yourself the gift of being harshly and critically honest with yourself about, like, those people that serve you, and then also your damn self, what you bring into the table.
Yeah.
Are you being unconditionally loving to the people in your life? Are you being a catalyst for their growth? Are you thinking about what you can get out of the situation in the relationship? Are you thinking about how you can serve the relationships that you're in? That's important. We're just assuming that you this amazing person, which you are at your core. You are for sure. But we all have ways that we can grow, develop, and evolve. And just being honest, like, are any relationships self-serving as well?
Yeah.
Compared to those, or you have people in their life that are selfish. Ooh, people pleasers, homie.
I was thinking that actually earlier too, because it kind of all ties in, like, staying in relationships maybe to not be confrontational because you don't want to make someone mad, or like any issues coming up. Being honest with people is very hard. And
have you ever been a people pleaser?
Definitely. I would say I'm not really anymore, even if I sometimes act in that way. It's like I'm so bluntly honest with myself now that I catch myself right away most of the time, and I'm not usually that way, but there's definitely been times.
Speak to that, please, your experience and your involvement out of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a specific situation so I could give it more context. Definitely not setting boundaries in relationships. That's been a struggle for me, specifically romantic and sexual relationships, where I have a hard time setting a boundary because I'm like, well, this person already said they liked this, wanted this, and I don't want to, cause any issues or whatever, so I'm just going to go through with this anyway. And then realizing at my core, that's not who I am, that's not what I want. Right. And so that has definitely been a situation that came up multiple times in my life where I've realized, wow, I'm trying to just people please. The only reason I'm not bringing this up is not even because I don't like confrontation, it's just because I don't want to make this person mad or whatever. And so, I don't know, I believe in our lives there's, of course, things we can work on, and I feel like they sort of get brought up as many times as needed before we just learn from them, and then after we kind of learn and grow through them, they're not really a problem anymore. The situations don't even come up as much. And so I think for me, that evolution through that specific problem just was a lot of mindfulness practices. And this is just for me personally, of course, meditation has been a huge help. And also seeing what relationships are really healthy and listening to the red flags at the very beginning of relationships, because I used to just look past stuff, and now I catch it right away and realize, oh, this person, I'd feel uncomfortable sharing a boundary with them because I know that it would cause issues, and that shouldn't even be a relationship I'm in,
I'm so glad you were honest to that degree, because that's something that a lot of people can relate to, all the way to the degree, especially even when it comes down to personal relationships and intimacy and that energy exchange, which is like sex, right? Which is a powerful thing, and it's never should be something done if it's not in congruence with what's going to be serving to both people. Yeah. It's not about a judgment of how many partners you have, or, your sex life and your sexuality or any of that. It's about being true to your spirit And I can't think of, I'm so glad you said that, one of the biggest sacrifices is the giving of yourself, that part of yourself, when it's not necessarily in alignment with your greatest good. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. And let me just say this. Being a people pleaser does not make you a good person.
Ooh. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Being a people pleaser does not make you a good person.
Yeah.
Because damn it, let me go and put you out there for a second. Because every people pleaser I know will give energy to people that don't deserve their damn time and take for granted the people that don't need anything from them, that actually love them unconditionally. What kind of shit is that? If you spend your time and energy trying to please all these people because, they're broken, or, they treat me like crap, so they must deserve my attention and all these things. And the people who are sitting back, who love you unconditionally, you don't spend time taking care of them because they don't need anything from you. When those are the people who you give all your love and attention to, all your compassion, all your thoughtfulness, energy, and effort. It's a hard pill to swallow, damn it, but it's real, and I've seen it play out too many times, in this life. And I'm so glad you brought it all the way down to the intimacy level, which is a good transition, like sex and intimacy within itself, like on the people-pleasing nature, but just in general, it's so important to be honest with yourself, to be in line with your spirit. Like after living in Europe, compared to America, Europe is a little bit more free. Okay. As far as like sex and things of that nature. Interesting. America, with the religious background, like, a lot of times sexes seem to be taboo. A lot of times comparatively, just in general, not to just do a broad brush, obviously it's the individual, but I noticed that in general. And like as far as, a woman, like the hypocrisy of, a man can, have sex with 1,000 women and he's just a stud, and, a girl has sex with 15 people and she's a hoe. It's like the hypocrisy of the situation. So let me just say this. I'm not here to judge anybody in any regard. Nobody has the right to do that. All I would say is that it doesn't even matter if the label, say you're in a relationship, right? So people think, we're dating, it's okay for us to have sex. But that's just a label. Is that person treating you like you deserve?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because there could be a stranger that you meet who treats you with more love, kindness, and respect, but you don't have that label that you would have more of an actual connection with, because it's a spiritual actual connection there compared to that person like, this person said they're my boyfriend, so it's okay. But does that person respect you? Do they respect your spirit? Do they treat your heart like it deserves to be treated? Yeah. And that is key, and so many people sacrifice that part of themselves and have such not a true realization of the depth of what it is as an energy exchange. And when it's just, it doesn't matter what the label relationship is. If that person respects your soul and your spirit, call it what you want, it can be a beautiful thing. And nobody can judge you but yourself. But if that's not happening, damn, is it worth it? Yeah,
that's very true. I like that point, because it's like just asking yourself, really, why am I doing this? And what am I trying to get out of it, or whatever? And sometimes it can be, to everyone else on the outside, the label, it looks like the right idea and the right thing to do, but is it really energetically? And that's something, you can't lie to yourself about what you're actually feeling. I mean, you can consciously lie to yourself, but your mind, your soul knows what's true and what you're actually feeling and stuff. And it doesn't really matter what it looks like on the outside, whether you're, like officially together or not, or whatever. Like, that may matter on a surface level with your maybe like relationships with other people, but then, on that deep level, like you were talking about, the energy exchange, that it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what it is, just objectively. And that's a really good point, to ask yourself why you're doing certain things. And again, no judgment or anything. It's something I think we can all like work on, and definitely myself, like with the whole issue with like boundary setting and stuff, that's still something I'm like working through, but it is like a step-by-step process and a day-to-day thing where I keep asking myself, yeah, why am I in this relationship? Why am I doing this specific thing with this person? And is it for the right reasons? And being so honest with yourself, which can be a hard thing just in itself. Like
Absolute. And it circles us all the way back to self-love, knowing your worth, self-love practices, unconditional love being the highest form of love, loving yourself first. You know, we've been free-flowing. You know, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, that was good. I think this is a good
today.
like time of an episode and stuff too, and just.
And so we will see you next time on Mike and Kass Vibin Out.
Yeah.
Until then, we are rooting for you, highest and the best. Peace, peace.
Sending so much love. See y'all next time.
Love, 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 love.
Love, love, love.
Love, love, love.
All right, see ya.